Hello everyone, and welcome to our session today looking at how to optimize your time with clever menu design. Today's session will begin shortly and will last approximately 1 hour. This is the second of a two-part series. The first webinar took place on Tuesday, 31st of May, and this is available to view on the Chef Network website under the events section. All attendees will be automatically muted throughout the session. We will have time for questions at the end, so if at any time you would like to submit a question, this can be done by the questions function in your toolbar. Questions will then be answered during the Q&A session at the end. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Ballymaloe Foods, for their support of this event. And I'm now delighted to pass you over to Jane Walker from Ballymaloe Foods to introduce our presenters and to kick off our session today.
Thanks, Louise, and to all at Chef Network for organising today's event. We're delighted to be here for part 2 of our workshop, which is entitled Optimise Your Time with Clever Menu Design. Ballymaloe Foods are really proud to sponsor these workshops and to work with Chef Network on events like this. It hasn't been the easiest time, as everyone knows, even over the past 2 years, and now coming into staff shortages and things in kitchens. So it's great that we can run events like this, and hopefully we'll have a few more in the future. We'd also like to say a huge thanks again to Dermot Walsh at Walsh's Bakehouse here in Waterford for the use of their facilities for today's workshop and for our last one as well, part 1. It's a great setting here today, and also keep an eye out for some of their blahs, which will feature in one of Tracie's recipes later on. So huge thanks to everyone here and all their team. Today's workshop is being led again by the lovely chef Tracie Daly, and assisting her in the kitchen is Rachel Casey, who we're delighted to have here again, or have here today for part 2. Rachel is a 22-year-old TUD culinary arts graduate. So over the years, she's worked in some great kitchens, including fine dining settings, both in Kildare and in Limerick. So we've 2 very capable ladies at work today. They'll bring you through today's content and recipes, and then, as Louise said, we'll allow some time at the end to go through any questions that you may have, so you can pop them in at the end. So I suppose I'll hand over now to Tracie to kick things off, and thanks again to everyone for joining in, and we hope you enjoyed today.
That's brilliant. Jane, thank you so much. Louise, thank you so much. And I'm delighted to be here with the wonderful Rachel Casey. Hi, Rachel, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, good. Very excited. So this is a fun event. As the guy said, this is the second event in this 2 series, and we're talking about how to optimize your time with clever menu design. And there's so much to this. There's so many layers to this, and it's that positive stacking that needs to be brought to life. So we're going to go through quite a bit of it today. So I'll do the run through, and then we're going to hand it over to Rachel to do an introduction. So we're going to talk about sustainability, how and where to begin. Because in itself, sustainability can be a little overwhelming if you haven't dipped your foot into it yet. So we want to take you back, and we want to start small and stack. Again, that word that I'll probably use a lot, stacking. So it's stacking positives. Then it's why it matters. Why is it important? Then we've got hero ingredients. We're back to that again. So when it comes to your menu, those hero ingredients, bringing them to life is very exciting. But also the maximization. So we want to be clever about their use. And then we're going to talk about team building. So this is quite important, especially in this moment right now where we are. And we'll talk about Ireland, because we've got this crazy staff crisis at the minute where we've lost a lot of people from the industry. And how do we keep people happy in the industry? Well, we're going to talk about that too. So first things first, Rachel Casey, who are you? What are you? Tell me a little bit about your education and about your experience.
Yeah, so I studied culinary arts in TU Dublin. I did the 4 years, so it was very good. I enjoyed it a lot now. Yeah, I love cooking and the education of food.
Yeah.
And yeah, I worked in kitchens in Kildare and Limerick, and my previous job was in Adair Manor.
Very good.
Yeah, so that was very good, like, in terms of experience and kitchen life and everything. So yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Because kitchen life is going to be a big part of what we talk about today, isn't it? As in your shared experiences, my shared experiences, things that we need to be aware of in order to maximize our time for clever menu design. It comes in so many different layers, isn't it?
Definitely.
And I think these 2 webinars, if it hasn't come across yet, the point is that for a clever menu, you have to step out, you have to step above, you have to take an aerial view, because there's so many different areas within the business that must be addressed in order for that menu to work to your advantage. That's a big piece, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a lot to even consider.
Mhm.
So I hope that these 2 webinars, and when we kick it off now, that we can make it that little bit easier and give different projects. So start one piece at a time. So if we start sustainability, your experience of sustainability in the industry, what have you come across that you like, that you want to, hats off to that individual or that business?
So I've worked a lot with like taste menus, with chefs who've done taste menus, and I found that was like very good initiative to like use like a certain ingredient, and you can use it in like the starter or the canapé or the main. Like it doesn't just have to go to waste. So for example, I could say like a potato, you could bake them in the oven, take the skin out, make mash, and then use the skin, dehydrate it or just crisp it up again and use it as a canapé or
Love it.
boost or whatever. Yeah.
So sitting down, looking at the menu, which is really important. For a lot of people, they don't have the time to do that. So what we want is we want to encourage you. We want to encourage you so much to take those extra minutes, find them somewhere. What I would love is for you to downsize your menu. If you could do that for me, I'd be grateful on so many levels for so many reasons, because the less that's on the menu, the more control you have on your business, then you can put the time aside to look at it. So I love that you brought that up. So hero ingredients have come up time and time again for us here with the Chef Network and with Value Foods with our webinar, because it's very important to acknowledge the point of it. It needs to be more than the sum of its parts. So we have hero ingredient. This I'm going to make available to everyone. So this is very, very simple. I'm going to talk you through it. This is an SOP, so a standard operating procedure, how to maximize your hero ingredient. You take a couple of minutes, you utilize the information that your team have as well. So always take into account other people's interpretations of what a hero ingredient looks like and how we can maximize it, because you'll have different suggestions than I have. And so that power play between the two of us, we can bring something quite beautiful together. And I think that's an important piece. Don't feel isolated. So if you're in charge of a menu, don't isolate yourself. Bring in that expertise.
It's definitely a good idea to even go around the whole kitchen. And, everyone can have a say.
So inclusion is vital, isn't it? And it's respect. Respect. You have so many incredible people underneath your umbrella. Maximize their wealth of knowledge and experience. So the hero ingredient SOP, it is hero ingredient. What is it? The season. So when is it at its best? The month, so the particular month when it is peak. Sometimes you can get 2, 3, 5, 6 weeks with an ingredient. It all depends. But don't assume the next person that picks this up next summer, say, will have all of that information. Information is power when utilized well. So get it out of your head, get it on paper, and start creating this folder. So this is your hero ingredient folder for your kitchen. So it's the producer. Sometimes you'll forget, you'll be in a panic, you can't remember, where did we get that? What was it? You're wasting valuable time. So let's take back that time. So the address, so all the details required for that individual. Then we have serving suggestions. There's so many different areas within a menu. So for example, starters, mains, sides, hidden uses, leftovers use, then the actual waste. We've minimized the waste by going through this SOP by 70%, that goes in your bin. If we give it the time it requires to sit and create an actual standard. So, for example, if we talk about in season Irish heritage tomatoes. So if we bring that hero ingredient in, so we want to write down the season, the month, the producer, the address, then the serving suggestions. For starters, what would we have for starters for this one ingredient?
So you have a starter of tomato, wasabi, and sunflower seed salad.
Love it. Love it. That would have hit you with a bang as well. And we've got wasabi in Ireland. Irish wasabi, which is wonderful. Give me a main. What could we do with the main? So a lovely light lunch as a main. What could we do?
We could do the tomato tartane.
Gorgeous. Yes, that would be so delicious. So that individual tomato tartane would be delicious on a plate. Lovely sides. You can even bring in the tomato again, because when it's peak, it's fantastic. Don't be overwhelmed by its multi-function, multi-use on a menu as well. So a simple side salad would be absolutely delicious there. Definitely lots of greens. The vibrancy of maybe a citrus dressing, something like that would be lovely, wouldn't it? For our sides, how would we get it in on a side?
We could have a strawberry salad.
Yeah.
You can use pecans, strawberries, tomato, balsamic. and
Gorgeous.
basil bocconcini.
So we
Very
can
tasty.
add that onto a main
Yeah.
course dish.
Yeah.
So a lovely light lunch with a side of that
Mhm.
salad in particular. And then hidden uses, what could we do with that?
You could confit the tomato, so you could extract the flavor.
Ah,
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
So confit of tomato is a brilliant way to preserve, isn't it?
Yeah.
So how do we bring summer into winter?
Yeah,
Confit of
definitely.
tomato.
Yeah.
And even the infused oils
Mm.
can be maximized in different spaces, whether it be in dressings,
Yeah.
whether it be in give me other uses. I'm trying to think. Dressings, what would you use that oil in? The confit dressings.
Yeah.
We're going to leave it at that. We've pulled a brain freeze. Okay, I love that. That's really clever. And so the actual food waste then, so some people prep a tomato and they might get rid of quite a bit because they're conscious that the customer doesn't want that skin on the base.
Yeah.
So what will we do with that? How can we get and stop that from going in the bin? So they top and tail a tomato,
Yeah.
not necessary, especially for heritage. Go down the center, remove the eye and go choppy on a heritage. I love that haphazard look on a plate as well. The angles look terrific. But if you are chopping and if you're in the habit of doing that, take those pieces and what can we do with that? Can we make anything out of that?
You can make sauces, salsas, anything really. You
Love
can,
it.
Yeah, it's very flavorful ingredient. It's a shame to go to waste.
So if I say engage your brain into looking at what it is you are doing, so the process that you choose to prepare a tomato may be incorrect. So if you change your technique a little, be that a little bit more mindful, but before you even begin to prepare a tomato, have a look at how I can maximize, how I can bring it in, how I can utilize this SOP in the kitchen. This is for every ingredient in your kitchen. How I can bring that ingredient in on 2 dishes minimum. And even that to create a powder, to create a sauce, to freeze those sauces, bring them in winter, the confit, bring it in winter, that pop of flavor. You have to give it the time to plan it. Because if you plan it, it will come to life, won't it?
Yeah.
Because then you can bring the whole team together on a journey. So I love that. And I think hero ingredients and those seasonal ingredients and saving the information, because you can't remember everything all of the time, is a brilliant, and it's also a training tool in the kitchen. So it's terrific to say a new chef comes in the door and you're like, actually last summer we had a wonderful dish. If you pop over to the folder with our SOPs, check it out. It's terrific. It works really well. So that's something that's really important. And I love that we were able to bring that up. And I love the idea that the chef that you worked with was so mindful. A simple potato was not going in his bin. So the end result of that potato that he didn't need, that skin was not going in his bin because he bought it into the business. Then he had to pay for the labor of that product. Then he had to pay for it to be taken away in the bin.
Yeah.
He prevented that. He utilized it as a starter. Very clever, very tasty. Yeah, brilliant. So that's one area of the menu that is just, and we'll talk about that when we create our dishes eventually when we start to cook. But something that we really need to take into consideration is the sustainability piece in a kitchen. Because a menu is hugely impacted by your rules and your SOPs and what it is you put in place within your kitchen regarding sustainability. So if we look at what areas can you look at today in order to make a difference, it's starting small. That's the best piece of advice. Sustainability is quite a large area, but if we take it down into little pieces and go step by step, you will get there. And so what I would suggest is a 3-year plan. Or a 2-year plan, or a 1-year plan. What do you think of that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Could you see that maybe being taken on in a kitchen?
Yeah, definitely.
Because you're in that kitchen environment, you're working it every day, you understand, you know, the reality of making these decisions.
And everything takes time, like nothing's going to happen overnight. I think people need to accept that and work with it. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I love that, Rachel. I love that, being mindful of that, knowing that before you get started. So implementing anything that's new takes time.
Yeah,
and commitment. And stacking. And repetition. All of those things. So one thing that is very important for me when I go into a kitchen is always looking at their equipment and their use of that equipment. So from a sustainability point of view, what would you say about equipment and use of equipment from a sustainability point of view? What should we think about?
I would say buying in new equipment. So
So there's the carbon footprint. So the footprint of new machinery is so much more beneficial to a business right now than older machines because of the output and the usage of it that it puts on your energy bill. So there's a lot of food for thought in there. New equipment. So this is how far sustainability has gone. It's gone all the way backwards so that it can come forwards, isn't it? So even when we're making a decision on a piece of equipment, we need to actually research it. So again, back to stepping back just for a minute, a couple of minutes, engaging with your team, asking them. So it's challenge the people around you that are with you in the trenches every day. What is their opinion? What do they know? What have they experienced? What have they seen? What have they used? What makes sense? And then it's engaging with suppliers and looking at their opinions. Then you formulate a plan. And I think that's really important as well, isn't it? Equipment makes a big difference to your energy usage. And also, I love the idea of powders, and we're going to talk about that as well. When your combi oven, when you turn it off, how realistic is it to pop in vegetable skins or things like that and allow them to dehydrate as the oven is cooling down?
Very realistic, like very good. Good thinking, like it's on your feet, like thinking. So
I like that as well, because anything like that, those powders, say that little flourish on a plate, that elevation piece actually goes a long way. And again, it's not in your bin. It's perfectly good ingredients and food that you are giving the respect that's needed, isn't it? Different cuisines have more impact, especially meat-based menus and restaurants. So that's a thing at the minute, isn't it? The sustainability piece around fishing and meat production. So it's that mindful approach, putting limited amount of meat or fish dishes, but ensuring that when you purchase the meat or fish, that it's from a really good source and that its sustainability process and the aspect of the business actually matters. Is that something, have you seen quite a bit of that now? Is there a change out there where people are actually going backwards, looking at that and being really mindful of that? So that producer-led initiative, which I think is really powerful. So vegetarian, vegan, meatless options on a menu, is that on the increase?
I feel like people are getting more imaginative because there's such a high demand now for vegans and vegetarians that you can't afford not to. So I feel like,
and you heard it here first, and absolutely agree with you. You can't afford not to. So it's making sure that you have that balance on your menu correct. And those cheaper cuts of meat can be great value on a menu as well, and the preparation. So when you're looking at your menu, when you put a title on a menu, take the title, break it down, look at the ingredients, then look at the methods required, look at the equipment required, look at the labor intensity, and look at solutions. Don't just accept that the title must be the way it is. Break it backwards, break it down, pull it apart. If you treat it like a jigsaw puzzle, there's room for improvement immediately, isn't there? The high demand on cooking equipment, that's something that needs to come into play. Our mindfulness towards overusage, or we're also in a habit of leaving the oven on, leaving the hob on, leaving things running unnecessarily, turning our back and going, it'll be grand, I'll get back to it in 3 minutes. So the electricity usage, is that necessary?
Like it's even communication. Like if you're on one section, another girl, she could be on pastry, another guy could be on the meat. Like, who needs the oven? What temperature? When do you need it on? Is it necessary? So,
love that. So communication and collaboration with that's how to maximize and be really, really mindful of what's going on in the kitchen. That's powerful. Love it. So critical requirements, you need to look at food waste. You need to look at water waste. You need to look at energy waste. So you take it bit by bit. You take one area and you discover and uncover what it is that's currently happening within your organization and how you can positively impact that any which way. And there's a couple of things. There's 2 brilliant courses out there at the minute. And because when we're working in the industry, and that's the problem, isn't it? Time is an enemy nearly, because we don't flip and have it. So we always feel like we're up against it. So if we step back, if we decrease our menu just a fraction, if we take back a little bit of control, take an aerial view, but create the open dialogue within the kitchen, get that feedback going. And to remember, in life and in the kitchen, there is no such thing as a stupid question, ever. Every question has a place. And if somebody is asking it, I promise you, somebody else is thinking it. So it is that freedom of speech is essential, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely essential. So there's 50 Shades Greener. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Brilliant course.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. KWTEB have it on offer to all of hospitality, and it's for free. It's a 4-month course. It's absolutely terrific. It's essential for any business.
Yeah.
The reality now is that sustainability must be a huge part of your business within your menu. From your suppliers, are your suppliers utilizing sustainable practices? Is their delivery process, is their packaging process? So it's from the back door through to your equipment, your use of seasonal ingredients, through your crossover of ingredients, through going through your bin and looking at how much fabulous food you're putting in there and how many uses you've neglected. So taking it out of the bin, repurposing it from today onwards, to the delivery process. So from portion control is massive. Buy a smaller plate.
Yeah, definitely.
Who knew that it could be so simple to make a dramatic change in your business by buying a whole set of smaller plates? Just a fraction. Changes everything. Everything. So from that labor intensity to the quantity of ingredients required, you decrease, you decrease, you decrease.
Yeah.
You get that time, you get that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, isn't it?
Crazy.
When you start to pull it all apart, you get to see. So 50 Shades Greener is within the business. It takes in all of that food waste, it takes in water waste, it takes in energy waste. The reason I bring it up is because sometimes we feel very isolated and alone and overwhelmed and under pressure. There are amazing courses out there that will provide you with the tools and the education needed for you to know better in order to do better.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. There's another great course for smaller businesses. There's the Green for Micro, and that's with the local enterprise office. That's a terrific, so that's, I think it's up to 10 employees. That's a terrific system where a consultant comes to you and gives you the tools. And so I think it's really important. To be an island puts you in a position where you're isolated and alone. And within kitchens, that can be quite common practice, where you feel alone.
Yeah.
Would I be right in saying that? Is that fair or unfair?
Yeah, but food, like, it's to be shared, in my opinion. And I feel like the industry, like, we should come together and we should learn off each other. Like, it is a fun industry, and like it is fun to learn off other people and to get all the help you can, I guess. Like, yeah.
From our first webinar, we spoke quite a bit about growth mindset versus fixed mindset. And so that demonstrates fully what a growth mindset is.
Yeah.
If you're in a kitchen where freedom of speech, where you're in a position you can ask what you might be afraid is considered a stupid question, but you can ask it anyway and you're not judged and you're not humiliated.
Yeah.
That's a game changer, isn't
Definitely,
it?
yeah.
So that culture-driven environment is a game changer that then allows you to be in a position where you can be creative, where you can think outside the box, where you can take on one ingredient. Just take one ingredient. Find out with all of the orders that come in, and the POS system might be able to tell you this, your order system, depending on what, if you use software, find out what the most frequently used ingredient is, have a look at it, monitor it over 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and think of solutions around it. Take it on as a challenge, and even to get other team members to pick an ingredient and create a challenge.
Yeah.
So what dish can you get on that tasting menu? Can you even create a tasting menu, or can you create that sustainable pop-up evening? Like, there's fun to be had when you get back time, when you take back control.
Yeah,
isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that piece of coming together. That's really important. Something else that we need to consider, there's so many different areas that a business needs to look at when it comes to sustainability, even the use of coffee. If your coffee isn't actually fair trade, well, then your coffee is full of more than likely pesticides. So coffee is used. So how do you take coffee out of a bin? You ask people to bring it home to use it as a fertilizer on their plants, and it invigorates, but not if it's not fair trade.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I didn't know that actually.
Isn't that
News to me,
mad? Yeah. So if I'm in a business and my coffee isn't fair trade, and I ask my customers to take this home, put it on their plants, it's as bad as the production of tobacco. Wild, isn't it? So it's those little decisions. So even the you know, where you get your coffee from, go backwards. Don't just pick an ingredient, go backwards, understand the business, understand their ethos, understand their sustainability practice, understand their packaging, understand their delivery. Get to know it a little bit more. Start ticking a few more boxes before you make a decision where the hard-earned money is being directed.
Yeah.
Isn't that important? We had spoken about that, more vegan or vegetarian options, and I think that's really valid. We're not saying turn your restaurant into a vegan or vegetarian restaurant. We're not saying that at all, but it's that reflection piece of we march with our feet. So if my best friend is a vegan and I bring them to a restaurant that doesn't accommodate it in a way that is more fun and involving, well, then we more than likely won't return. And so it is taking the time to understand what that looks like is quite important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if we can get more people in our door because we're offering them what it is that's required, not so much designing the menu from my personal palate or designing the menu from my needs and my wants.
Yeah.
That is an interesting even kettle of fish. Do we want to open that Pandora's box? How many people design a menu from their own personal place?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. Funny, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So the sustainability of a menu, your decisions that drive it. So reward customers. How do you do that? So customers, if a customer brings their own refillable cup without being asked, something like that, it's as simple as that. But also, and I think this has come up recently quite a bit for me, that we don't do enough of this. We need to bring back the doggy bag. We need to make that glamorous.
Yeah.
We need to stop the food going into our bins. We need to stop it going out onto the floor and coming back into us. Now, we also need to do an engagement piece with front of house. So from the serving point of view, we need that feedback captured, as in what food was left on the plate, and maybe a reason behind it if we can grasp it. But if it's a case that they're too full, well, then we need to note that potentially portion size is too big.
Yeah.
So I want the food gone off the property in a way that is sustainable to the business. So a simple packaging solution may help, but you also need to price the packaging in the price of the meal. So nothing is for free, just to remember that as well. But I love the idea of doggy bags. I love a doggy bag. If I'm somewhere and I love the meal, but I just can't finish it for whatever the reason, whether it is too big a portion or whether I just probably stopped somewhere else beforehand because I was giddy because I saw somewhere delicious, I will ask to bring that home, and I will absolutely enjoy that nearly as much as I did while sitting there. And I think that's quite an integral piece, because we can glamorize it, we can pimp it up, we can make it fun, but we need to stop with the food waste, because that's a massive issue, isn't it? Not only from the menu design point of view, from the labor point of view, from the storage point of view, like it comes into play in so many different areas within your kitchen environment. Engaging with your suppliers is another big piece, isn't it?
Yeah.
What are they doing for you? What are you doing for them? And if we don't have that full circle, we're missing a trick, which is important. Reduce and reuse, and if all else fails, then recycle. This is quite interesting, isn't it? Because the environmentally friendly packaging that compostable is an issue because we don't have the infrastructure.
Yeah.
So recycle, that's our solution, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So to look at things from that point of view is quite important. So even to take a minute to look at the business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Water and electricity, we spoke about that mindful approach. Task somebody with that. Give them a challenge, reward them. If somebody on your team, so on your team currently where you're working, where are you working? What are you doing?
I'm in the Killishy Hotel in Nace, and I'm on the pastry section. So yeah.
Can I task you right now? We didn't speak about this. Can I ask you to look at water waste?
Yeah.
Water or electricity? You tell me. Actually, what would you rather?
Maybe water, because even when you don't think about it, you can just have the tap running, like cleaning something, and yeah, it's always good to have even one person aware of that.
Yes.
Turn it off or tell someone. remind them.
So if I said to you in 4 weeks, I want you to send us, and we'll work with Chef Network and Ballymaloe Foods to get this information out. If I ask and task you to become the water safety manager of the kitchen at Killashee House, and for you to observe, so that monitoring is everything, isn't it? To look at areas, so it's to observe, it's to know what your desired outcome is, which is reduction. Reduction. And if we look at the middle piece is how to bridge that gap. So it's then creating the SOP and implementing a standard that is better.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Sometimes it's easier to just like not say something or whatever, but like in terms of waste and saving water and electricity, like it's definitely beneficial for everyone as well.
So it's that tuning in piece, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah. I love it. So thank you for taking on that challenge on behalf of Chef Network and Ballymaloe Foods. We look forward to your feedback in 1 month's time.
Thank you.
Good woman. So limit your menu options. I always come back to get that again. I feel like a broken record. Tell me what you think. I say that, but what do you think of that from your industry experience, from your training, from your education?
Yeah. So you want to keep it like short and sweet nearly. Like you don't want people being overwhelmed by menus, and that's the case like if you have a popular dish or like a popular thing like beef, and people will generally go for that. So I would say keep it simple, do a bit of research on what people like, even ask your chefs, ask your front of house, and they'll give you answers. Definitely.
I've gotten a bit of feedback recently from people that have, you know, I'm always talking about food. My life is food. Even when I'm not working, it's food. And so I tend to ask questions. Oh, were you anywhere recently? How was it? What was the menu like? I always ask, did you take a picture of the menu? Because I just love menus and descriptions. I love menu engineering. I love looking at those little details. And recently, there's a couple of places that are standing out because they have smaller menus. And it is the consistency and delivery of that smaller menu that is easier on the team and the business. So repetition. There's a business that I love, and I'm going to say its name. So he does a pork belly hash, poached egg with hollandaise, and it's Cormac Row in Canal Square in Kilkenny. His menu is so tidy, so tidy. His attention to detail in that dish absolutely blew my mind. And it's the repetition of knowing that when I go back there, I'm going to get the exact same product. That for me is a game changer. If we overwhelm our team by asking them to do too much, we are risking the quality and the delivery of our food and our production.
Definitely.
Can I say it is that simple?
And like you don't want to overwhelm the guest either, the customer, because not everyone is looking for like a million different ingredients or to be blown away. Sometimes they just want to eat good food and know it's consistent and well made and made with love.
I love that. So that is something that will always come out of my mouth. Just reduce that menu, fine tune it, foolproof it. And so test and trial and test and trial and test and trial. That's everything, isn't it? I love it. What else would we like to talk about? The benefits of sustainability in restaurants, brand loyalty. I kind of love that. We actually should do a bit of cooking. So while I talk about that, Rachel is, we have some boiling water here. We're going to pop in some rice noodles. And so we're doing a cheats ramen. And a few of you, I've seen you squinted there. You were like, what? How very dare she? So we have some rice noodles. So these fabulous simple rice noodles, they're terrific. So pop them into boiling water. So even just a small handful is perfect. Good woman. Do you want to pop them in? And so I'm going to get you to pop them in under, and then we're going to pop that lid on. So off the heat. So this is a great thing. So bring your water to a rapid boil, take it off the heat, turn off the energy, pop the noodles in, fully submerged. Good woman. You can use that. That's helpful. Fully submerged in that boiling water. Lid on. 10 minutes. Ignore. Ignore. Trapping the heat. No more energy needed. That hob is turned off. So that's a good sustainability piece, isn't it, within this dish? Another element of the dish then, because we wanted to look at that, the how to utilize and maximize. So our cheap beef ramen, as I said, it is cheats. There's nothing, give me the phrase on that. It's not, give me the word, authentic. Jesus, sorry, that it left me. It's not fully authentic. So bear with me. What I want to do is utilize ingredients. We could change the name on that. That's what I use for today. We can reword that. So don't worry too much about things. Reword to make it work for you. So we've got our 6-minute eggs, which are over here. We've got our rice noodles, which are in our boiling water. So for 10 minutes to soften completely. We have our skirt steak. So if I get our hob on, so where are you? You're here. So we're going to go lovely high heat. You have our skirt steak there, fantastic, beautiful. So we're going to oil it and a light bit of oil. So never over waste. So it's a small bit, that's it. You're going to spread that out all the way over, top and bottom. So you never oil a frying pan. You always oil the meat really, really gently. So even you can have a dedicated brush for raw meat, and small quantities of oil as well, so you don't have that crossover, so that mindfulness there as well. And so we're going to barely lightly oil it. We're getting our pan up, beautiful, good woman, toss that around so it's fully coated. And we're going to pan fry that, so probably 2 minutes aside. We kind of want it a bit rare in the middle as well, so we're going to get the heat up really high, seal, turn, seal, and that's it. We've got some delicious peanut rayu. So I'm using an Irish product here. Easy make this in your kitchen, but sometimes you don't have time. So don't be afraid, and it's lovely to shout out producers. So this is a partnership, the Revesky brand, and it's a lovely product. It's going to bring in texture into this dish, which is really important. Another thing that I have here is the fiery relish. Ballymaloe fiery relish, if you haven't used it yet, so this is the food service, it's absolutely terrific. It's the elevation piece that you bring into a dish. So we don't always have time to prep for the likes of chilies. Don't have the time, don't have the space, forgot to order them. This is a terrific product that is so multifunctional. So I get to travel the country creating recipes based on these products and how to use them. And so we have a wealth of recipes that you can access through food service that you can bring straight onto your menu. They are written, they are ready, they are methods, they are everything. So know that for Ballymaloe Foods, we have food service recipes as well. So that's our fiery relish. So what we're doing, our steak is on 2 minutes, and then we're going to bring that together really quickly. Now our stock, simmering away here. So literally you can't barely see it. My camera angle is awful. In here I have my leftover skins. I have my leftover outer peelings of my onions. I have my leftover carrot peelings because I've lots of vegetables to go into this ramen as well. They're all Irish. This is absolutely an Irish dish from top to bottom, which is beautiful as well. And so this veg stock, it doesn't always have to be beef or chicken. We can pull back, we can maximize on the flavor that's going into your bin, bring it back into the business, layer up those flavor profiles through the use of Ballymaloe fiery relish, through the use of a homemade peanut rayu. There's lots of things you can do creatively. So we've got a bit of ginger, garlic, lemongrass. You don't need them, they can be in there. We can finish with a bit of citrus later. So think outside the box, take an authentic dish, put the Irish twist on it, look at your waste, how to maximize. Beautiful. So nice bit of colour. Yep. Should I? Are we smoking? I might actually turn that off. So I think we definitely go another minute on each side. Yep. Sorry, we're just talking about skirt steak, how to get that caramelization in. We want that beautiful browning in, so it has to be intense. I hope you see the smoke rising behind us, and that shows you how hot that pan is. So that's our cheats beef ramen. Really delicious, really simple. We've got a selection of vegetables, beautifully prepped. Thank you so much, Rachel. We've got our, yeah, gorgeous. So our leaves, we're going to wilt that in our stock. So Rachel, if you pop a single portion of those vegetables, do me a favor, will you pull out the skins in there? And then we'll utilize that stock straight away. Brilliant. And then we'll pop your vegetables in. So we're literally going to blanch the vegetables that Rachel has cut. We've got a lot of selection of greens. We've got some cabbage. We've got some pak choy. We've got some onions. We've got some carrots. We've got some mushrooms, all Irish. So just to bring in that texture, then we're going to layer with our flavors, and then we're going to pop a 6-minute egg on top. Then we're going to add our noodles. So simple, so delicious. Another dish then that we're going to talk about, caramelized onion and beef blah. So beef is heavy on the dish today, and it's to not so much that it's integral or vitally important. The onions are something that I've brought in onto both areas, and then the Ballymaloe products, as well as that integral elevation piece. And something I want to talk about, you may not know that the Ballymaloe food service range, so it comes in, the selection is behind me: burger sauce, fiery relish, we've got our original relish, we've got our stout sauce, we've got our smooth pepper relish, and it's so competitively priced that it is essential for your menu. So if you are currently making relishes and chutneys yourself, and this was a brilliant point brought up by the fabulous Donica, that the labor intensity behind the production of that, not only the interference to your kitchen, so the ingredients inwards, the storage of those ingredients, the prep of those ingredients, the labor of bringing those ingredients into a chutney, because a chutney takes hours, then it's the packaging and the storage of the chutney at the end. It's a huge level of work. So how do you optimize your time with menu design? Simple as that. One move like this can change your day. So food for thought, think about that. So we're bringing in this. So we've got our brisket slow cooked. So what I did, popped in some of my, the tail ends of my vegetables that I wasn't using. So I popped in some of those onion skins. I popped in some leftover, the tops of the spring onion that I couldn't use. I popped in some of the Ballymaloe steak sauce. Comes in food service. I'm lucky in a way, my little brother's a pub, so I went and got a glass of Guinness. I poured that in. Not essential. You can use that vegetable stock. You don't even have to use a meat flavored stock. You can use water, lots of seasoning in there, garlic cloves went in. And so it was a slow cook. You can do slow cook in your combi oven. You can do slow cook on your hob. I use a slow cooker, but just make sure that your equipment is energy saving as much as possible and try and maximize. So while the oven is on, if it's a combi oven and you're doing a slow roast, slow cook, make sure that you're optimizing the other shelves within that oven. So that level of kitchen management has to come into play, doesn't it?
Yeah,
You've been busy.
Yeah.
You've been busy. So our steak, beautiful color in our steak. I love it. So once that's rested, so the recommendation is for as long as the steak cooks, it needs to rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we give that 2 minutes. So we'll allow that meat just to relax. We'll allow it to soak back up the juices that it releases, and we'll get that moisture back into it. Then we're going to slice it, and it's going to top on our soup. So thank you for that.
No worries.
Fair play. And so back to our caramelized onion and beef blah. So Ballymaloe beets. So Ballymaloe beets is a brilliant addition to any menu. So from not only sandwiches to salads, it just comes in, and the feedback they get on it is absolutely amazing. So it's a real winner of an add-on. So I have my Ballymaloe beets going in here, and then I have my onion skin salt. So my onion skins, I'm not even joking. When we prep an onion, what's something that we need to remember if we're going to use the skins? What do we look for?
We need to check, is there any like soil in the root or anything? We need to check it's clean.
Love it. So there are a couple of things you need to look for. So when I ripped off those onion skins, I ripped off that outer layer. The outer layer is anyway dry. You don't want to cook with it. So I took that off, popped them into the oven as it was cooling. I dehydrated it. Now, show me what's in my Thermomix, please, Vincent. So we dehydrated those onion skins, and in my Thermomix I have, and I forced the guys there, you'll see. So it's this powder. Now I need more to create that fine powder, but I made Rachel and Jane taste. So come into the shop there.
Yeah.
So on top of the lid I have this really fine powder. It's brown powder. It doesn't look glamorous or anything like that. But I made the guys do a blind tasting earlier, and I said, "What do you think?" What was the response? Were you happy with this?
Definitely. Delicious, yeah.
The intensity of flavor from those skins is absolutely amazing. So in here I have a rosemary salt, which was leftover ends of rosemary that I couldn't use. I dehydrated them in an oven that was cooling, again maximizing on that. Popped it into my sea salt, so it's infused. Like one of the simplest things to do in the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now can you pour my onion skins in here?
Yeah.
So we're going to pour our onion skins, and I'm going to mix this flavor. So if I can give this a week or two, not even a couple of days is fine. I can use it immediately. But what I'm saying is, oh my, That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
The caramelization, the layer of caramelization coming through
It's
is
so simple.
absolutely outstanding. And it didn't go in my bin.
No.
But the flavor is stunning, isn't it?
Amazing, yeah.
So we're going to use this on absolutely everything today as well. So it's how to maximize on those onion skins. So we've got caramelized onions in here, which is traditionally to caramelize an onion, you know, it's in your saucepan or frying pan, and it is 15 minutes. Wow. And it takes quite a bit of time, whereas this is brilliant. You half the onion,
Yeah.
olive oil, salt, and pepper, and pop it back in the oven, pop it up to temperature, but let them then turn off the oven after 25 minutes and let the residual heat do the rest of the work. The skins then, so when we pull this out, so this looks beautiful on a dish. So it's all of those layers absolutely melted. So pull that away. It's the heart of the onion. Stunning flavor, stunning color, beautifully soft. This is going to go back in the oven. I'm going to make my onion salt from it. So it's how I can prevent flavor, because it's flavor. It's not waste. We need to get the wording that we use on it needs to change.
Yeah.
So I'm going to task you. You're going to bring that soup together for me.
Yeah.
You have your ingredients there. I'm going to bring the brisket together.
Yeah.
Because then what we're going to do is go back to questions and answers, because it's really important that we actually hear what you guys have to say as well. So tell me what you're doing with your soup.
So I'm gonna drain the water off the noodles now.
Love it. So that was 10 minutes in water that was brought quickly to the boil, and then we took it off the hob, so no more energy required. And that's the big piece around that, isn't it?
Yeah.
How to maximize the use of the ingredients is really important. What do we do next? Gorgeous. I have a ladle. So we have a lovely pink bowl. Good woman. Your ladle is there.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just popping noodles in.
So popping a portion of noodles into the base of that bowl. Beautiful. And it's a lovely warm bowl as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I winked at them because I wanted to say hot food, hot plates, hot soup, hot bowls. And I know that's something we all know, but it's something that's important to bring up, because food cools so quickly if it doesn't go into its hot vessel. And generally that's when you get complaints of, my food is cold. And there's nothing worse for people to hear that message back.
So now I have the soup.
Gorgeous. So this is our mix of Irish vegetables in there. So we literally just brought that up to the boil, simmered it for 3 minutes. And so we want to retain that freshness, and we cooked it within the stock we're using because we want to trap all of that flavor. We're not letting that go anywhere.
No.
Beautiful. Remind me of the vegetables.
So we have cabbage in there,
Yeah.
pak choy, mushrooms, carrots, and onion. And
Good.
then we're just gonna top it off with some spring onion
Gorge.
or scallion.
Spring onion or scallion, what do you call it?
Probably scallion. Yeah, so
Oh, beautiful.
how can you see?
Can you see? Yeah, great colors in there. Absolutely love it. And so the addition of our egg and then our skirt steak. So our skirt steak, when we slice it, it's going to still be a little bit pink. And then we're going to pop some of our onion and rosemary salt on there as well. So the egg, even you can crack that egg because that egg is soft. It's a 6-minute egg. Fingers crossed I did it. Fingers crossed that it's lovely and gooey and soft. That's it, and work really quickly. Beautiful. Pop it on top. Oh, she's good. She's good. Thank you so much. So our skirt steak, if you want to slice that for me, so that's had time to rest, which is really important. So I'm over here with my brisket blah, which is fabulous. Making sure I don't forget anything, because I'm liable to do that after time. We have noticed. Beautiful. So our brisket, our beetroot, our rocket, our food service Ballymaloo relish, absolutely wonderful. Our onion skin salt, oh yes. Stunning. Such a beautiful, simple offering, maximized by the use of the flavors, the use of leftovers, that mindful approach. Gorgeous.
Salt on this.
Good woman. Oh, you should see the steak. It's so perfectly cooked. Rachel, that's absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
Girl, that's perfect. That's plenty.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
love it.
Cheers.
Now, how do we get that up there so they can see it?
Yeah.
Because it warrants investigation. So if you can get that up to the screen.
dish.
And I'll take a picture. We'll pop it up. Ballymenu will pop it up as well. Fabulous. So lovely and simple. Now we have our blah with our slow cooked brisket. Again, maximize on that oven. Utilize the oven as it's coming down from temperature in particular. So when you have a recipe and it says 45 minutes, well then go for 35, leave the product in. Depending on what it is, you know you're going to make an educated guess what will work best, utilize the footprint on your oven. So minimize to maximize. So here is our skirts of our caramelized onions in there, peeking out. It's stunning. We've got our beets, Ballymenu beets. We've got our Ballymenu relish, that slow cooked brisket with Guinness stout and stout relish as well, and that fiery rocket, beef and rocket. It's just a marriage made in heaven, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if I give you that, and then I know we're wrapping up, so we're literally just on time. And if I'm honest, we didn't have enough time. We have so much that we need to talk about. I think there might have to be a part 3. But handing it over and just saying a huge big thank you. Rachel, your first time to go live with this audience or in this type of scenario, I think you played an absolute blinder. It's been a privilege for me to work with you.
It's been a privilege for me.
And I would love to do it again. Yeah. Okay. Handing it over.
Great.
Louise,
Thank you so much, guys.
thanks,
That was fabulous. So much food for thought in there for everybody. We just have time. There's a couple of questions in here. The first one, you used brisket in this recipe. In a restaurant environment, what are the best cuts of meat to use at this time of year?
Oh, that is such a brilliant question. Okay, so hats off for that. There's, I'm very lucky because it's going to be about me for 1 second. I have an amazing artisan butcher that I get to use. I'm from Kilkenny, that I get to use in Kilkenny, and it's called Grogan Brown. Everyone has their preference for their butcher, so you know what I'm talking about when you say you've got your favorite butcher. And so this is a brilliant butcher that I would utilize. So I went in, picked up my brisket, picked up my skirt steak, and something I asked John Brown was to tell me about meat right now. Tell me how restaurants and cafes and food businesses can maximize. So I'm going to read this out. Beef is at its highest price that I've seen in 30 years of butchery. That warrants a second. Lamb is currently more expensive than it was at Easter week, and no sign of prices stabilizing. The most reasonable prices in beef are the slower cook cuts. So beef cheek often gets overlooked, he says, and by far the nicest in his opinion. I have to agree. Yeah. I love beef cheek. Brisket, which we used here today, offers good value too, and seems to be making a comeback with the increase of people using ceramic barbecues and smokers. Great food for thought there, isn't it? How to get that into the kitchen, utilizing those pieces of equipment that bring in other flavors and layers and textures. Again, boneless chuck and shin, often good value for those chefs with a bit of imagination. Yeah. Bit of prep involved there, so you do have to know how to maximize. So it can be the hero ingredient, but it doesn't necessarily need to be the integral ingredient. What I mean by that is you need to make sure a little goes a long way when the labor intensity comes into the production element of it. Any primal cuts, i.e. strip loin, ribeye, fillet, are serious money at the minute, and generally increase in price over summer months. So there's no value there. And as for lamb, I wouldn't even consider putting it on a menu. He's not making any money on it at the minute. He just has to have it in stock, small amounts, because there's certain customers that just live for it. So I hope that answers your question. I think that's really, he deals a lot with food service as well, high-end butcher like himself. So he has really valuable information that he's just shared. Yeah, terrific.
Brilliant, thank you. Another one here, how can you make an ingredient a hero ingredient without overdoing it on the menu?
You're saying stop with the tomatoes, is it? That's so valuable and such a great question. So, Rachel, for me, it's to bring it in as one hero ingredient on one dish. So whether it be a starter, whether it be a main, or whether it be a dessert, depending on what it is. So it's to be the highlighted hero ingredient in that dish. Yeah. And then it's to be a base layer flavor that isn't mentioned in the title as such, but in the description.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so that's not overwhelming to the diner.
No.
That doesn't look like it's too frequent or
No.
overused.
No. Yeah.
Okay. Hope that answers that. And
Great.
butt in.
Perfect. What were those environmental or green programs that you mentioned? Could you mention those again?
Oh yes. 50 Shades Greener.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrific. And Green for Micro with the Leo local enterprise office. They're brilliant. They're at no cost to the business, but they're of immense value. And as I say that, I'm just making a quick lemonade, leftover pickled beetroot juice, sugar syrup, fresh lemon juice, some mint that I'm just going to pop in, and some sparkling water, just to let you know what we're having when we finish. Sorry, Louise, any other questions?
No problem. We've another one here. Your menu is meat heavy, but you mentioned that veg options are best. How would you suggest to adapt recipes to make them vegetarian or even vegan friendly?
God, you're a tough crowd out there. Okay, any ideas? So in order to take the beef away from the blah, what could we put in its place? I'm trying to think, I'm licking my lips thinking. So we could do maybe even, would a cauliflower steak work in that blah? Would
I know this sounds different, but fennel maybe.
Oh yeah, that would work. Delicious. A fennel steak. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. Let's bring that on. A halloumi.
Yeah,
would be delicious, wouldn't it? That would bring in a bit of texture and flavor as well. Yeah, so there's a couple of ideas.
Yeah.
For our soup, just leave out the steak. And again, pan fried halloumi would be brilliant in there. What else would work really well in there? I'm trying to think. We're going to leave it at halloumi. You caught us. Well done, people.
Even cauliflower again would be lovely.
Yeah, cauliflower is
Yeah,
brilliant, isn't it?
zero.
Now, taste test. Pickle juice, lemon, sugar.
Gorgeous, yeah.
That's
Really
good.
nice, yeah.
And those pickling juices from the Ballymaloe beets as well. Pop in your eggs. Pickle your cooked eggs in there. They look terrific on a plate. They look amazing in that soup.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks, guys. That's all the questions we had in for now. So I suppose it's just really for me to thank you both, Tracie and Rachel, so much. That was a really informative session. I'm sure there's lots of really useful stuff in there for the attendees. Just to mention again, the session will be available to view as a reference on the Chef Network events page. That'll be up over the next couple of days. And finally, on behalf of all at Chef Network, we want to thank our sponsors, Ballymaloe Foods, once again for their support of the series. And thank everyone for joining us today. We hope you found it worthwhile.
Thank you.
To sign off. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Adios, everyone.
See ya.